Okay, this is a short video on how to use the brush tool in Photoshop and how to create a custom brush. And I'm going to show you how you might use that in this project that we're doing with Photoshop. Okay, so first of all, this is the brush tool right here. And it again has like a lot of the tools on here, has different versions of itself. Okay, if you hold the mouse the left mouse button down on this on a Windows computer, it will show you the different options. But we're just going to use the regular brush tool. And I think it's Command click maybe for the option to bring this up on a Mac, but I know it's the left button on a Windows computer. Okay, so we're just going to use the regular brush tool. Now, as usual, in the options panel across the top here, the options bar just below the menu in Photoshop, you get some options for manipulating the brush tool as usual when you select a different tool in the toolbox. Okay, and one of the ones that we're going to really deal with is the size of the brush right here. Okay, you can change the size. It can go way up to a really large size. If you painted with it at full size, it would cover this entire picture, and that's not something we want to do. You can go down to 1 pixel, which we would hardly be able to see. So we're going to choose something a little bigger and I don't know, maybe 40 pixels for now, something close to that. Okay, and you can choose different styles of a brush. You can choose this like a soft edged brush or a hard edged brush, and there are other options on here. In fact, you can make your own brushes, and we're going to do that in just a second. So I'm going to just take a typical brush. I'm going to use this feathered round edged brush here. And that's what I'm going to use, and I'm going to click somewhere in the picture or somewhere out of that tool option and set the brush at that size. Okay, I'm going to cancel that. I want just a clean new layer here, so I'm on my top layer. It's a type tool. It's a type layer. Okay, type layers are vectors. Type is a vector. It's not a raster, so it's a different kind of layer in Photoshop, and you won't be able to paint on that unless you rasterize the type, which we don't really want to do right now. Okay, so I'm just going to create a new layer on top of everything, and that's going to be where I'll paint. And I'm going to choose my color to paint with by clicking in the foreground color picker box here. Okay. It's going to be, let's just say, kind of a darkish red. Okay, I'm not sure that's the best thing, but okay, we'll go with that for right now. And now I can paint on here. Now you'll see that this is not painting at full opacity. So I'm going to Control Z that, and I'm going to move the opacity of my brush up to full strength, 100%. And now when I go to paint on here, it wipes out or it makes impossible to see through it, okay, at 100%. So there's 2 ways to control opacity in this case. You can do it at the layer level, in which case everything on that layer will become less opaque, okay, if you scale it down. Or if I don't like that layer, I'm going to drag it down to the garbage can and drop it in the garbage can at the bottom of the layers panel. And I'm going to add a new layer. Okay. Or I can scale the opacity down here in the brush tool options panel, and it'll do the same thing. Okay. So the only difference is if you do it in the tool, every time you paint, it's going to be the same. You know, you can adjust it for, like, if I want one that one's 40-some%. If I want a stroke that's like 70-some%, then I could come in here, and if I want one that's 100%, then I've got that as well. Okay, now you can't, those all could not exist on the same layer and be at different transparencies or different opacities if you were changing it based on the layer, because it would apply to the entire layer. Okay, that's just something to know about with layers and working with the brush tool. Okay, I don't like any of those really. I'm going to get rid of them.